Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In the video lesson for today, I came up with an idea what I'm going to use for this catalog journal that I started making. I'm going to use this for my photography backgrounds for my artwork, especially the smaller pieces. So what I thought I would do is throughout each page is to create a version of the background. One background that's going to be lighter, one background that's going to be darker, but within the same color family. So there'll be something for greens, yellow greens, blue greens, blue violet, violet, red orange, orange yellow, yellow orange, and then a series of neutrals. So and it's just to get a various amount. What I am going to do though on one, which I don't know if it's going to work, I am going to try doing one with crackle medium to see, but the pages are light. So I'll have to maybe I'll do it on the back page, and because this page is probably one of the ones that will be used the least. So I'll try that. So the first one I thought I'd do is I'm going to work with a dark greenish yellow background. So kind of like a dark version. So what I thought I would do is going to gesso it first with black gesso. So what I'm going to be using, I may bring some stuff out, but I'll call it out, is Decor Art Media Fluid Acrylics. I should be using Traditions because these are more transparent. Phthalo Green Yellow, Hansa Yellow Light, Raw Umber, Carbon Black, and then the black gesso, and then Ultra Matte Varnish. The varnish is critical because you don't want any of this shine, this stuff here, this shiny stuff, during your photography. So actually I'm just going to get rid of that. I was going to paint over this with white just to clear it up. Joe said, no, leave it. He goes, I look at all the videos and people's tables are messy. Well, yeah, but that's not me. I don't know why. It never used to bother me, but now it does. All right, so I'm just going to take this gesso and dry brush and put that on here. Now, does it matter? Wait. It does matter. Does it matter that you can't see through it? No, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. The purpose of the gesso for this is to thicken up the page. And this paper is a shiny, it's typical catalog paper. It is shiny. So I don't want to run the risk of paint not sticking to it. And this is drying really fast. Now, if I was smart, I would have taped the backside with masking tape not to get paint on the underneath. I'll do that for the next sets of pieces. So I am being pretty rough because I want to see the brush strokes. I don't want to see ridges of paint, but I do want to see the brush strokes because that'll show up in the actual finish. So I already did one particular little background already. It was a vintage style one. So I'll end up recreating something like that. And I decided to do it this way because that one here that I was trying to use it to do photography, it's not proportioned for portrait style, especially if you want to post your artwork on Instagram stories, Pinterest stories, Facebook I don't care about, but Facebook stories, I guess same thing, but because it has to be really narrow. But if you have Instagram and you have Pinterest, you only need to and if you have access to Pinterest stories, you only need to create for one platform, then you can repurpose it and share it to the others. You don't have to create something new. Because they're both using, I believe it's the 9:16 ratio. There we go. So I'm going to let that dry, and I have some white parts showing through, which is fine. I'm not going to clean my brush, and I actually could just do this wet on wet, but I'm going to go into now the Phthalo Green Yellow and pick up a little bit of Hansa Yellow Light, which is a yellow that is on the green side. And what I'm doing now is I'm getting an idea of the mixture. So it's roughly 3 parts of the Phthalo Green, 1 part of the Hansa Yellow Light, and I'm going to grab a little bit of Raw Umber. yeah, we got something nice and dark there. So I'm going to go right over the gesso. I didn't clean my brush, so I didn't need to load up any of that carbon black. And I think what I want to do is on my brush pick up a bit more of the green. And where the white parts are, where the white's showing through. This one, whoopsie. I just want to put some of that color in there. See, I'm not being overly careful about what I'm covering up. Can just go into some yellow. Right with the black. And what you're doing with this is that you're creating a background that's a really, for this particular one here, is a really dark green background, which you can use for photographing art that's on the red side, because red is opposite on the color wheel from green. So your artwork is going to pop. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the pure yellow, and where there's black, I'm painting it over the black. Oh, you know what we should check? So I know that carbon black is a black that leans towards blue. Let's do a little experiment. This is important for you guys to understand. So carbon black is a black that leans towards blue. The gesso will be completely dependent on the gesso that you're actually using, because they're all different. And oh, why did I cap that? Rinse that out. So the DecoArt Media Gesso it looks like I didn't pick up enough white. It looks like that. It looks like it's a black that also leans a bit more towards blue. Yeah, so look, they're almost the same. So it looks like they're using, DecoArt's using the actual carbon black pigment, PBK 7, 9, 7, PBK 7, to create their gesso. So it'll be consistent, so which is good. All right, so with the yellow, in with whether it's carbon black or the actual gesso, because the gesso and the black lean towards blue, is that you're going to get a natural mixture. What would happen is if let's say if the black leaned towards red and you're adding a yellow on top of that, you're going to get something really funky. And ideally you want to do this wet on wet. You can use a rag, you can use a brush, doesn't matter. But you want to try to keep the edges dark if possible. And size-wise, it all depends on the size of your artwork. I'm lately not doing anything larger than 5 by 7. So this will work out really well. And this will work out for vertical art this way. So then you can just turn it the other way if you did something landscape-wise for, let's say, Twitter or Facebook image or whatever you want to use, or square for an Instagram post, because a Facebook post, they'll also take square images. So just overlapping the colors, and I'm going to go with a little bit more of the raw umber just to soften this up here. The raw umber is nice when it makes the colors a little bit not as intense. See how it's really bright here? And we don't really know about the brightness of the colors until they dry. So by creating your own backdrops for photography, it makes your photographs a little bit more professional looking. Now, whether you're taking pictures for social media for, personal use or professional use, it doesn't really matter, but just it's a little bit nicer than just taking a picture, on a dirty art table. I take my pictures for my art in a actual light box. If you guys are interested on a DIY light box, there's tons of videos on YouTube to show you how to do that. Oopsie. Okay, I'm gonna put some raw umber in there to try to fix that. Picked up the wrong color. But I'm using an actual light box that I purchased off Amazon. Just one of those collapsible white boxes. It's white with a hole in the top, so you can put your camera from the top to take a top shot. If you guys are interested in an actual process of photographing your artwork, drop a comment below just to let me know, because there's no point in me doing a video if you're not interested in seeing it. But I know on the business side of things, where my web design clients, that's a big thing that they're always struggling with, is taking pictures of their products, and especially with artwork for the ones that are creatives, is taking pictures of something. Let's say if you're selling the artwork, is the picture is what's going to sell it. And believe it or not, taking a picture indoors is probably one of the worst things you can do. Best thing for photography is taking a picture outside in the shade. Nothing beats natural light. And you don't take pictures at high noon in direct sunlight. Washes everything out. Early morning or late afternoon. There's all these different things that you can do. So see how that's, oops, I think I'm off camera there. There we go. That's going to take a bit to dry. I'm just layering. Again, with this, the technique that I'm using, wet on wet, and I want to get a modeling. Now, if I were to turn around and grab, I'm not going to do it on here because I want this to be a dark background, which can also be used for a book of backgrounds. So when it comes time to doing the light version, I'm going to do a soft, basically the same thing, but I'm going to be using soft greens like that. So these would be good for artwork that's dark, and this would be good for artwork that's light. But how you choose, I try to keep the backgrounds all within the same color family. And if we have room, I'll also do some backgrounds that have patterns in the background. So let me just quickly dry this. Because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer of matte medium on there, then I can put another layer of paint. But I want to see what this looks like dry, because we already know that acrylics dry darker. Okay, so that's not too bad. See how shiny that is? That's not too bad. It's not green enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where's my matte medium? I'm going to put matte medium on this because that'll mattify it. And it'll create a transparent layer. So any light that shines through will bounce back, making it look a little bit more rich. And believe it or not, I am out of brushes. So let me just take my dirty brush, put that in there. Some of you may want to use, clear gesso if you have it. Matte medium just does the same job. We're using this as a barrier layer, a layer to protect what's underneath. Gesso is a primer, so it's not really appropriate for this, but if that's all you have, then that's fine. Don't use anything glossy. You're going to be defeating the purpose of doing this backdrop. There's a bunch of dried crap here. Now, by having these brush strokes like this, they're going to show up in the actual finish, which is fine. As long as we're going to be finishing with an ultra matte varnish, you're not going to have that glare. So I'm going to let that dry. Then I want to show you something. So I did a video. This is the first backdrop I did. This one here. And then I showed a varnish demonstration. So this is with the Ultra Matte varnish. So that's this one here. Okay. So that's the paint as is. Okay, that's the just the acrylic paint. And then, so if you take a look here, so that's with the Ultra Matte varnish. This is with a high gloss varnish. So what do you see? See how you've got some glare here? But look at this one here. There's no glare whatsoever. Then of course you've got a ton of glare with this one here. Although this one here, the colors are richer. Don't forget, this is for a backdrop for photography. You want a matte finish. Okay. And this stuff here is a godsend. I absolutely love this for my backdrops. All right, so let's give this a quick dry up. Ideally, you want to let it dry naturally. And if you're whether you're using a heat gun or a hair dryer, always keep it moving. That way you don't burn the paper or whatever you're using. Now the other thing too, if you don't have like a catalog journal from this, that's fine. Use canvas or heavy watercolor paper. Doesn't matter. The bigger it is, though, you want to use heavier stuff like foam board or something like that. If this thin paper, it wouldn't be good for large artwork. But because it's just small pieces, it's no biggie. So it did dry a little bit darker. Now, I'm also thinking, you know what you could do? If you're liking your background, you can put some further details. Now, I wouldn't put too many details when it comes to fine stuff. You could stamp some swirls or whatever, stencil some basic stuff in there. Like what I did with this one here is just, you know, stencil even numbers or whatever. You don't want to put so much detail on this because the purpose of this is a backdrop. It's not supposed to distract the viewer from your actual artwork. And from judging on color, I mean, look how that red pops. That's why you don't want to use gloss in your artwork. Now this is still pretty dark for this. This may look better on a light background, but if I, like, look at that. That just really pops. You know, that versus putting it just on white. It's just a nice alternative. So I think what I want to do with this one is I want to add a bit more yellow to it. And let's add a bit more in there. Now, if I have to be honest, if I would have used the DecoArt Traditions, I wouldn't have to do an extra layer. But now, because we don't have any black to worry about, that you're going to see a lot more of this color pop out. Glazing wise, just the yellow over the black turns green. One of life's great mysteries. But I didn't want to put a lot of yellow there. I want that outside edge to be dark. So now because I did that, I need to do the same thing over here and then just gently wipe it back to make it consistent. I can always come over with a layer of black. That's no biggie. Might be tempted to do chromatic black with, let's say, the phthalo green, blue with alizarin crimson, but no. No, I'm not going to do that. Because it'll be too intense. And I know the table's shaking a lot. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of raw umber. Just going to go into some spots here. Go into a bit of carbon black. Go back into the corners. Get a little bit of grunge going on here. Keeping the outside edges dark. And then just fade what's going on the inside. Now with this here, oopsie, can't believe I did that. Now the beauty of doing it this way is that you can build your background with as many layers as you want. And the more layers you add, the thicker your page is going to be. I'm going to use what's in my baby wipe to... No, it's not enough. Again, choose the colors that you want. I'm going to go through the entire color wheel to create these backgrounds because, you know, art's always a different color. And what I'm doing now is I'm shaping it so it's relative more of a square, but I'm feathering it out in the top part so it could work for a portrait style piece of art. And the way you can test that, oh good Lord, you can get something like a little 4x6 piece and see how just the green just kind of fades around on the outside. That works out just perfect. And it also works out for an artist trading card. You could put 2 artist trading cards. So this will work out for Pinterest because you could crop it tall. You could do it this way. You could put 4 on here. So this is a good size for small pieces. Just going to feather, get rid of the excess paint, working from outside, working in. And I think I'm liking what I've got there. I think I'm going to stop. And now I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to dry this and then I'm going to apply the varnish. All right, so this is what we've got. Now I want to make sure I showed you a before and after. So look at that shine on there. So I'm going to take the ultra matte varnish and put a good layer on here. Follow the directions on what you've got. Now also, oh, where is it? Oh, I have it in a box. American, the Duraclear, they also different finishes on that too. So that would have been just fine. But always read the directions for using the product. Just to make sure you're using it the right way so it protects your piece 100%. Now for those of you that do photography for other stuff, that it's critical that your varnish actually be indoor-outdoor. So if you're, let's say, photographing a piece of art with a cup of tea or something and you spill the cup of tea on your background, an indoor-outdoor varnish is what's going to protect that background. You notice I'm not worried about the art. I'm worried about the background. So now you can go for a smooth finish. I want to see some brush strokes. That's just the way that I'm doing it. You do whatever style you want. And you can put more than one layer. So what I'm going to do now is I use my specialty brush for varnishing, which is the one with the green tape. So I'm going to let this dry now naturally. I don't speed up the varnishing stage. I'm going to let this dry naturally, and then we'll take a look at it and can see how much glare we actually see. All right, so I just want to show you that this is the one that I would also use as well. So either one, they both do the same thing. They're both indoor, outdoor, and this is the one that I typically use. So I want to show you a little something. So look up here. See the shine there? I didn't put enough varnish, but just to show you the difference using the ultra matte varnish and the paint as is. And then you can compare. This is what it is with a gloss. So can you imagine doing photography like that versus that or this? There's no shine. But where you can see the shine there, I just didn't put enough varnish. So that's okay. I'll just come back and put another layer. So let's put this to the test. That's a little bit dark. It actually looks nice, but it's a little bit dark. That really pops. That pops as well. That's actually beautiful. I like that. So I've got all these different pieces here. You can see how that's shiny. Let's see, what else have I got? Just some different things to look at. Then I've got the little book of backgrounds here, so you can compare. That actually looks pretty good. But the red, that's really nice. See how that pops? Complementary colors. So that's the purpose of doing the backgrounds the way that I'm going to be doing them, is that there'll be a background for a complement for most of the artwork that I would do. So let's do an experiment. Let me just get into my secret phone here. And let's see what this would look like photographed. Oopsie. Now, this is a rough way of doing it, but you need to... I'm just going to... I can't see. This is not the way I take my photographs, but I'm just going to take the picture. And then let's see what we've got. So that's what we have. And I know there's software that I have that I could show this actually on the screen. Okay, I'm waiting for the little pop. There's the pop. 916. So this is the one now for Pinterest. So I can move this. There we go. So this is perfectly optimized for Pinterest, Pinterest pins, Pinterest stories, Instagram stories, Facebook. I have no idea, but it's perfectly optimized for that now. Now I'm using the native app that's on the phone for this. This actually overwrote the original photograph. What I do is I throw it into Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, and do my edits there, because Adobe Lightroom doesn't alter the original photos. Just quickly get in there. And then, oh, I have new glasses on. I can't see. So I would turn around. Where's my, oh my goodness. I can't see. You know what? Let's do this manually. Yeah, I can't see. Oh, jeepers creepers. Take my glasses off. So I'm just going to change the white balance a little bit to look at. There we go. Oops. Clicked the wrong button. There we are. So I probably should still make it a little bit darker. Boost the contrast. The shadows. And then deepen the blacks a little bit. There we go. Keep clicking the wrong button. So it's just, so see how dark this is? So I could still, and the way that I took the picture, the camera's on automatic mode, which means the camera's compensating for the dark background. Ideally, to take pictures of your artwork, you want to shoot on manual mode, and that's a whole other monster of things to learn. But what you want to look at is ideally, well, I did the wrong button. Ideally, it's you want to shoot manually. Now, what you can also use is you can use presets. And there are so many presets out there. Where are we? See, makes it look flat green. Makes it look warm. Be careful though when using presets for your artwork, because you're actually altering the artwork. Now, if you're creating digital art, that's a completely different story. Digital art is a completely different story. Let me reset this to the original. See, that's the original. I can change it to black and white. I can look at color. That's actually really nice. And I can make it a little bit darker. Okay, so again, if you're photographing your art to sell, be very careful about changing the color. What you may want to do is do a few pictures, different lighting situations, holding the artwork, you know, just rotating it around and stuff. But if you're selling digital art, yeah, you go to town and play with the presets. But Lightroom is my app of choice for all my photography, for my own use, my clients' use, and for actually product photography that I do for the business that Joe and I have. So anyways, that's it. So I hope that this lesson helps you to create a background for your artwork, and just to give you some ideas of what you can do with it. So this is just the one. I am going to have to go back and put another layer of varnish on here. And I'd like to say right now the next lesson will be this one lighter. It'll depend on how my mood is for the day. What I may do is turn around and do all the dark ones first. So this one then will be a blue-green. This may be a blue-violet. This may be a ocean blue. I don't know. So it depends on the mood. So, but if you're looking for a background, a specific background for photography, comment below what you're looking for. Then we can reach out and communicate together. I'll get a sample photo of what you're looking for your artwork. That way I can show you how to do a background. I'll do it as a video, a background based on your piece of artwork, just to give you an idea of what you can do to try to create backgrounds that you can use for the majority of your artwork. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna let you go, you guys, and let me know what you think. Send me any requests that you want, commenting below or going to artplace.ca and click the contact link. And until then, stay inspired.